This is part 2 of Agoraphobia. So, yeah, I was talking about the dude that had agoraphobia, and he didn't know how he developed it. This weird thing, and he had like split personality syndrome or some shit, and like when you get targeted, it's like individually, and so nobody knows that you're getting targeted. It's just you getting targeted. And the guy was like, he had like a split personality, agoraphobia, dissociation disorder. There's a bunch of psychological bullshit that you would have to take medications for. And I was looking at the guy's friends, and I was looking at his friends, and I was like, oh shit. Because like I would be driving around Liberty, Texas, and I would go by his house, and I would always realize that there was like a car parked in front, or there was like weird stuff going on around his house. But I thought it was just like people that lived there, and it wasn't. It was like weird. Like they were like targeting him like really bad. It was like fucking crazy. And so I went to the convenience store to go get like a Gatorade, and then there was this dude in a black, dressed all in black, like like he looked like a police officer, but what he was wearing wasn't like a police outfit. It was like it was fucking weird. It was like you watch the Batman, like where they got the vigilantes dressed up like in like homemade stuff. Well, there was that dude, and he followed me, and then he was looking at what I was purchasing. And I was like, whoa, it's like a big bald dude that looks like a cop who's following me. He's not even wearing his badge, nothing like that. I was like, I've never seen this shit before. And then I go to my friend's house, who doesn't go out. I said, dude, you should have seen this big bald dude that followed me to the gas station, man. It was fucking weird. And this happened in Liberty, Texas, people. Welcome to Liberty, Texas. Gang stalking capital of the world. This is what this town gets for me to promote all the shit that I saw that they were doing. And like, there was this woman, and her name was Morgan, and I noticed like that, like there was like glitches happening on my Facebook account, my social media, and like this woman named Morgan, she started like I started getting suggestions, like friend suggestions, and then I noticed this woman named Morgan that I knew, and she was doing the stalking, and then I was like, hey, wait a minute, you're talking about me using like weird gang stalking tactics. And then she gave a hint to what that meant, and she was trying to like, when it's a psyops, they tell you little clues about what's going on, so you know what's going on. And it was like everybody knew what was going on in Liberty, Texas, that there was a whole gang stalking operation. And also in Dayton, Texas, there was a gang stalking operation with the cops. I saw it. The police department. But it was like something they were doing like covertly. It wasn't something on the books. It wasn't something that that you would be like, that's like official business, you know? No, it was weird. And you would enter like Dayton, Texas, and it says welcome to 1984 or some shit, like referring to the book of surveillance. You know, there'll be like a big sign that says welcome to 1984. So there was like a guy who knew what was going on, and he put like a sign at the entrance of Dayton, Texas. And he would say, welcome to 1984, saying that, yeah, you're being surveillance. Everybody's being gang stalked. They're targeting random people in the town. And, like I said, and, I talked to my friend who was like the first one that I ever found out that had agoraphobia and had the gang stalking symptoms. And but he didn't know what was going on. And that's why people need to do research, because there's stuff out there that you know is fucking weird shit that be happening to people. Then they have problems. And they don't even know what's going on because they have problems. And so I talked to the guy. He said he had agoraphobia, and I said, when did this begin? When do you think this began? He said, you know, one day he was like watching a YouTube video, and he told me he was at work. That was before he had to work from home. And he told me, like, you know, he said, I was watching, and I was just chatting on the internet, and I was watching a concert, and then I got like a phone call on my cell phone, and it said leave. It was like a woman, and she said like leave. Out of nowhere, the woman appeared on his phone, called him up, and told him to leave his job. And he was like, what the fuck? He said, I think that was the woman that was doing the weird shit. And I didn't want to tell him, but there was a woman in the town that was doing weird shit. And that he was friends with that woman on the internet. Well, he was friends with her. And I didn't want to tell him that all his friends were partaking in gang stalking. They were doing the whole gang stalking stuff. All his friends he had. And he called them friends, but they weren't his friends anymore. It was weird. They did like weird bullshit to that guy. And he wouldn't come out of the house. And I was the only one that would talk to the dude. And he said, we just partying, listening to music. But like at the same time, you know, I would be like, hey, where's all your other friends? Where's all your friends? Where's all the other people? Like, I don't know, they go to work and stuff, and that wasn't true, that they're just going to work. No, they went to parties and stuff, and they didn't invite the guy. But like the thing that was weird was that he was like, how you say, that his friends had done the gang stalking stuff with the woman that he was friends with, and they were like, so ultimately they isolated that guy, and he still thought that he was friends with those people, but he wasn't. It was fucking weird. I had to investigate. I had to do my own investigation. But like as I said, most of the time the gang stalkers belong to gangs or were part of the prison system or were like felons, in which case, you know, they were criminals that were incarcerated, and then now they're being used by the police in a very indirect way. Yeah, but in this case, in the case of this dude who had agoraphobia, it was like all his friends had isolated him and did this weird shit to him. And I was like looking at him, and I saw like one of his friends was like a nerd who had red hair and was skinny. And they all looked like nerds. Like nerds, like for real. They all look like nerds. And I was looking at them and I was like, dude, your friends are nerds, man. What the heck? And they did that to you, and you live in the suburbs, and you don't even want to go out because you feel sick when you go out. You gotta take a lot of medication. Like, and then they did that to you, and all those people are like nerds. They don't even look cool. They don't even do anything, man. They don't. And I can't believe that they did that to you. And they were like nerds, like little, like, you know, like preppy people. And I was like, so you telling me John, the straight A honor student, was doing this to you, and nobody knows why John was doing that to you? Like, why are these nerds doing this weird bullshit on you, man? You gotta think about it. Like, why would John, the redheaded, you know, the redheaded guy, be doing that to you? He's a nerd.